Most welcome everyone on this episode of Financial Management, especially for NFPs. NFPs are what we call not-for-profit organizations. These kind of organizations are a bit unique in how they run their finances and how they monitor their different kind of financial management, their programs and things like that. Most not-for-profit organizations, which we call, or what other people call NGOs, have had problems on how to manage or how to properly manage their finances. And to me, from the experience I've had, it starts with how best do you set up your finance systems. If you set up your finance systems wrongly, definitely you will not have better finance management. How? The kind of accounting system you use is very important for not-for-profit organizations, because it will enable you to be able to set up the different kind of projects the organization has and to be able to monitor those projects based on the activities or programs that are being implemented by that particular program. Take an example, you have 10 projects in one organization. Each project comes with its own project document, which is unique. You cannot necessarily use the same ledgers for posting all these transactions for all those 10 projects. Or if you're using a complex system, like maybe say Navision, or what we call Business Central, which can help you use the same ledgers while coding them in different programs. So that is where most organizations, which we call NFP, get stuck. And they cannot be able even to be able to monitor their costs project by project on how those funds they received. And then they end up getting problems. They cannot be able to produce program reports. You cannot be able to produce BVAs to monitor whether you have overspent or underspent. You cannot be able to monitor how much funds are remaining on a specific budget line. So all these problems normally come and start with what we call setup of your finances systems, not finances, but finance systems. Now, how does it start? It starts with the chart of accounts. I do not know how easy or how difficult chart of accounts are, but from this experience I have had of some of the organizations I have visited and have helped review, their biggest problems is how their chart of accounts have been set up. Chart of accounts are actually not complicated to be set up, but sometimes we accountants or people who build these systems actually complicate this whole thing. And also, say in Uganda, most organizations use QuickBook Online or maybe QuickBook Desktop, these basic systems. But people fail to first understand or appreciate how these small finance systems work and how best they can be able to customize them into their operations. But bottom line, it starts with the setup of your chart of accounts. The chart of accounts doesn't need to be complicated. It is just a serial numbering on how best, say, assets should start from, say, 1,000 to 1,999. And then maybe liabilities start from 2,000 to 2,999. Say maybe equity items and funding should start from, say, 3,000 to 3,999. And say maybe revenue will start maybe from 4,000 to 4,999, like that, trend, and then trying to code the sub-accounts in there without having to complicate with those complicated numbers and things like that. That if someone told you code 1,000 and you know code 1,000 represent assets, and then under code 1,000, what kind of assets maybe you have, non-current assets and current assets. So you can be able to tell maybe from 1,000 to 1,200, those are specifically for non-current assets. And then maybe from 1,200 to 1,300, those are current assets in that sequence. When it comes to the expenditures, that is where sometimes organizations get it wrong. and also how to upload budgets into their systems. That when you set your chart of accounts, your system should be able to accommodate you to be able to upload the budgets for those particular projects into your finance system for you to be able to run a BVA into the system, so that you do not have to run a report from your finance system and then come outside to try to code the financial transactions into a BVA in Excel, which is different, and then at the end of the day you end up having to pick wrong codes and things like that, and you find out where you had an over expenditure. You cannot be able to see that over expenditure. So it is very important and very crucial that not-for-profit organizations need to start their financial management by ensuring that you set up your chart of accounts properly. After you have set up your chart of accounts properly, then you have to set up your income and expenditure ledgers, which you don't have to open a different income ledger for different projects. You can have one income ledger for the whole organization. And then while coding, different matrices or parameters inside your system, you just code them on different projects. That if I received 50 million shillings from project A, it will go inside the same ledger. But that ledger, while posting, you will have maybe different classes or different matrices for which you will code them and say, now this ledger, this amount, as much as it's stated in the income ledger A, it will be coded on a class or matrix of project A. So that when you run a report for project A, it will only sieve out the incomes that are associated to project A. If you want to run for the whole institution, you will run the whole matrix without instructing the system to run for you for a specific project. Same as expenses. And that is where most not-for-profit organizations get it wrong. So it is very important that while trying to do proper finance management for the systems, is you start with ensuring that you code your chart of accounts properly, code your matrices properly depending on the type of project that come in. That each project that come in, you don't have to change or have new general ledgers or ledgers inside your chart of accounts. The question is that, does your system allow you to have additional matrices for you to be able to add the different maybe budget lines that come with that project document? If it is not, now and then that means you realize most probably that kind of accounting system does not suit you. So that takes me also to the kind or the choice of the accounting system that every not-for-profit organization chooses. So because not-for-profit organizations are a bit unique, they are not like profit organizations. And I'm not saying that profit-making organizations, their chart of accounts are also simple or not complicated, but these are just unique organizations. So today I am focusing on not-for-profit organizations because it is very important to ensure that a not-for-profit organization, while doing their financial management, they are able to run different reports for different users, for different projects, because every donor that gives you money has their own requirement on the kind of financial reports they want and how they want those reports presented. And it's simply meaning that how you are going to set up your financial system should be representative of how each donor wants their report. Thank you very much for listening to me. We'll keep on having these discussions. Next time I'll be presenting for you how some of these chart of accounts should appear in different organizations. And it is not rocket science. Actually, it can apply just across board. And the way you set it up will definitely click for you proper financial management. Thank you so much for listening.